Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Jason back at it again with another Geography Now video. Apologies for the last one. Uh, it's just because, I just don't have storage. That's the problem. So, I did record it, but then the storage died on this one, and then I recorded on a different device, and that one also died. It's terrible, but hopefully this one will work. Hopefully. Let's just get started. Okay, so Tanzania, what I know about it, used to be a German empire. Then Zanzibar, uh, they were like given to the different country. I don't know. I don't know. Something. I could forget about German imperialism because then it reminds me of Otto von Bismarck. We had to do that DBQ today. So yeah, let's just get started in three, two, one. Go.
All right, Tanzania. This was actually the very first African country I had ever been to, so I'm not gonna lie, this place has a little bit of a soft spot in my heart. Tanzania is the land of African extremes. You will find some of the biggest, the tallest, the oldest, the most of around here. Yet even more fascinating is how the people of Tanzania have made it their own. Welcome to the king of the Swahili coast.
Chilled, just dancing and stuff. I could use a dance, to be honest.
Everybody, I'm your host Barbs. Oh, what is this?
Tired.
It's a Tanzania shirt with the flag and the logo thing. Oh yeah, Ruba from the Sudan episode makes these at UnityShirtsShop.com. If you would like to get one, go to UnityShirtsShop.com. Support Ruba and her business. And also, shameless self-promotion. You can also get Geography Now merch.
Okay, yeah.
It's not selling out if it's your brand. And as you know, one thing we love to do in these videos
it's gonna be every single episode of him.
And with that, here is our resident Tanzanian that I found in Los Angeles, Mr. Chaka. Say hi.
Mambo.
Oh, Poa.
Sawa sawa.
Ah, I know that one. All right, so Chaka, very quickly, what are some things you think everybody should
Chaka?
know about Tanzania?
Chaka Rodriguez.
Tanzania,
Okay.
we have a lot of everything, and what we do have is in the extremes.
So where does Tanzania fit in? Well, basically, if East Africa was a family,
Ethiopia would be the wise old grandpa that keeps the records of the past.
Somalia would be like the desert merchant with a little bit of an
Yeah,
attitude.
because,
Kenya would be the movie star.
Rwanda would be like
the
a super
Italians
fan,
couldn't do
efficient
it.
tech nerd.
Burundi is a fraternal twin of Rwanda, begrudgingly wishing they had implemented the same industrial model.
And then we get to Tanzania, the big guy with a powerful yet relatively calm demeanor.
And that's just one piece of the story.
And speaking of which, let's jump into the map now, shall we?
So Tanzania, in some sense, is almost like two countries in one.
In fact, that's how the country got its name. It's sort of like a portmanteau.
It's gonna be the
mashup
islands.
between Tanganyika and Zanzibar.
Yeah, it's Zanzibar.
Yeah.
There we go.
Gonna be those
But how did that
islands,
happen?
and then the
That's
coast.
in the Namibia episode.
Yeah,
See
that.
those Zanzibar Islands. Give me them. What?
Well, the story doesn't quite end there. See, it was like,
Wait, we didn't agree to this.
Well, you know how things are, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's
that was
just.
literally the shortest war in human history. Can you two be friends?
Yeah.
then it was like,
Out of the way, Portugal. About a century before that, it was like,
Out of the way, Amira Killa!
a few centuries before that,
out of the way, native Bantus of these islands that I will also subjugate to the Arab slave trade across the Indian Ocean. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. So much more history involved.
I mean, the Greeks called it Zazania, and the Romans called it Zingidium.
Yeah, Zanzibar and Tanzania are both complicated.
Some
But
like
first, let's go to
elements
the map
from
and
like the
motion
periodic
graphic,
table.
shall we?
First of all, Tanzania is located in East Africa in the Great Lakes region bordered by 8 other countries and the Indian Ocean to the east. The entire coast of Tanzania with its islands along with other parts of Kenya and Mozambique are often referred to as the Swahili coast due to their historic ties mostly centered around maritime trade routes that pass through. The country's capital is Dodoma, located close to the heart of the country, and they are further divided into 31 regions or mkoa. The Zanzibar Islands are made up of 5 regions in themselves and are considered autonomous regions. The largest
How you
city
gonna
of the
have
country,
5
however, is
regions
just a
in like
skip away
that
on the east
one
coast,
single
Dar es Salaam, which means
piece of
the place
land
peace.
that's like
Here you can find
consists
the
of 2
busiest
islands?
international airport, Julius Nyerere International, and the busiest seaport as well, the port of Dar es Salaam, which handles about 90% of the country's maritime trade activity. After Dar es Salaam, Mwanza on Lake Victoria and Arusha by Kilimanjaro are the second and third largest cities.
Oh,
However,
shoot.
due to the heavy traffic by
I forgot they had
Zanzibar's
Kilimanjaro
Ahmed
and
Amani Karume
Victoria.
International and Arusha's
Skull,
Kilimanjaro
Victoria
International
Age.
come in at the second and third busiest airports. The country has nearly an 8,000-mile-long network of paved highways known as trunk roads. In addition, the country also has 2,300 miles of rail lines that stretch all the way to the edges of the country and have international access to Zambia and Kenya. As of today, the only territorial dispute they have with another country is Lake Malawi with Malawi, in which Malawi claims that all the shores belong to them, whereas Tanzania is like, really? So I can't even step in the water without falling under your jurisdiction? Nope.
Oh, and there's a place called Mafia Island.
It's actually a nice island. I mean, as long as you don't owe them money, they won't break
It's
your
just
leg.
mafia.
In any case, back to the autonomy.
Now, if you guys saw the new
Tanzania's
video for them,
administration is interesting when it comes
you'd
to
be
Zanzibar.
disappointed as well.
Zanzibar's autonomy goes pretty far. They have their own government called the Revolutionary Government of Zanzibar.
They have their own president and they even have their own flag.
Overall, the mainland kind of just lets Zanzibar manage their own affairs, only stepping in for major national, diplomatic, and republic constitutional concerns.
On top of that, Tanzania is a huge proponent of the East African Federation.
If enacted and theoretically established, it would make the largest country in Africa, area-wise, 10th in the world, and 8th most populous.
And the capital would theoretically be in Arusha, which is already the headquarters of the East African community.
Oh,
There's a lot of
some
context behind
rude-
this one. Maybe you should just, make a separate video on it.
You're right, maybe I should.
The country
Sure,
is a
yeah.
constitutional republic dominated by the Chama Chama Pinduzi party.
Like I said
Basically,
though,
in
I want
the 60s,
some
many
room for
African
that.
countries were gaining
Word is
independence,
so
which was like in
ugly,
the dead
though.
heat of the Cold War, and then you kind of know what happened.
Hey Africa, so we Russians never touched Africa, mostly, and we won't. It's just nailed it those pesky British and French.
No, but like I feel
How
like
would
they
you
should
like
just
to kind of see how
not
things
add
are
South
done the old
Sudan.
USSR way?
That
Because
doesn't sound
state-run
so bad
system
saying, but
controls the means of
nah,
production while utilizing
you know I'm
the
not even gonna go that
Look
far.
into it.
Look, okay, some of this stuff seems kind of cool. Like, I can jam with the whole, one-party power collectivism. But, you don't understand how Africa works, and much of this would never fly. So, I'm going to take some notes and, spice it up with my own Africanized blueprint.
This was essentially how Julius Nyerere, the first
Now it's
president
always
to
China's
situate
going
Uganda.
after the
Java
countries
is a
in
unique
Africa.
African social ideology that kind of blends the
They just
objective of
wanna build a
relatively
little
high state control
railroad-
and collective
railroad-
economics and social programs that encourages
railroad.
the population to become one people to combat tribalism.
For example, all the land in Tanzania is government owned and at max leased at 99 years. The state used to have collective ownership of the natural resources.
However, that changed, right? over
Yes, it
years?
did.
Yeah. Now, many people have opinions on the effectiveness of these policies. Some might say that on a social scale it worked, but economically it needed sprucing up.
But in the end, the point is, Tanzania tried to figure out a way to move forward with an incredibly diverse population.
See, in the late 80s and early 90s, especially under President Mkapa, the country started to open up more free market policies, and that's when the country started to see trends like urbanization and foreign investment growth and so on occur.
Capitalism.
Can I tell you something?
What's up?
Benjamin Mkapa is underrated.
Socialism
Like,
is kind of
took our
overrated, to be
economy from
honest.
the fire and put it back on our feet.
Partially due to their amazing places of interest, the country has 7 UNESCO heritage sites. And to explain, here's Tanzanian geography Thabit to explain.
My name is Thabit from Tanzania. If you want to come to Tanzania and visit, I recommend you visit Stone Town in Zanzibar, also Pangani.
Nah, bro,
But
Zanzibar's
my
carrying this
personal
country.
favorite is Kilwa Kisiwani. It has a lot of rich history. Cave paintings
Kilimanjaro,
in
nice.
Ndoa.
Look.
We have museums, the cultural museums like Bujora in Mwanza, but also there is Maji Maji Museum, which is a resistance museum, village
So,
museum
fun
in
name,
Dar es
Maji
Salaam,
Maji.
where you can find different way people build houses, Decoration Museum in Arusha, and also the Natural History Museum. Tanzania will never bore you. Thank you.
Thank you, Thabit.
Yes, the nature of Tanzania is without a doubt one of the most powerful attributes.
With so much info, let's move into it. In the next segment, So Tanzania is hands down a country of nature. Literally, the movie Lion King was heavily inspired off of Tanzania's landscape.
Let's jump in and see
Nah,
how the
Kilimanjaro
physical
be
layout of
carrying them.
Tanzania works.
Here's the motion
Nah, I'm
graphic.
just
Tanzania
one
is
more. I'm
located
gonna
at some
say
of
it's
the
gonna be
southernmost sections
Zanzibar,
of
and
the
next
East
one's gonna
African
say
Rift, a
it's
fault line we've mentioned countless times that slides
Kilimanjaro.
down into the eastern section of Africa. As you can see, Tanzania is pretty much situated in between the west and eastern rift fault lines, which is why the northeast and central parts of the country have a more distinct arid terrain as opposed to the otherwise lush green remainder of the country. This fault line is what plays into Tanzania's unique geological makeup, as the East Rift Valley cuts through the northern part of the country, leaving behind a residual geothermal section of land. Here there are mostly dormant volcanoes, however some like the Oldoinyo Langai are still active. But in regards to that, right on the border you can find
Good
Mount
names.
Kilimanjaro, a dormant volcano, which is not only the tallest mountain in Africa, but it is also the tallest freestanding mountain in the world, not part of any range. Some might say it is technically part of the Eastern Rift Range, but come on,
I don't know
look
about
at
you,
it.
but
It's
I'm
alone.
climbing there right
It is
now.
so tall that Kilimanjaro in itself actually has 5 of its own climate zones. Just to skip away, you find
Jeez,
the Ngorongoro crater,
nah.
the world's
I
largest
didn't even know
inactive,
that.
intact, and unfilled volcanic caldera.
It's like its
Some
own
call it the Garden of
country. country or
and is home to a huge nature reserve.
ecosystem
The
right
East
there.
African Rift Fault Line essentially is what creates the three great African lakes,
From
all of whom
planet,
are at
I
least
go as
partially within
I go as
Tanzania.
far
The
as
largest
say.
one being Lake Victoria, which is the largest tropical lake in the world and the third largest freshwater lake by area, followed by Tanganyika, the second largest freshwater lake by depth and volume in the world, as well as the deepest in Africa. And finally, they share part of Lake Malawi in the south. The largest non-shared lake, though, would be Lake Rukwa, located in the south of the country. Now, Tanzania likes to take a little credit for sharing the source of some of the major rivers of Africa, like the White Nile and Congo rivers that have tributaries that are sourced in Lakes Victoria and Tanganyika. However, the longest
The
river
Congo
flowing
River
within
kinda
Tanzania
long,
would be
bro.
the
It's longer than
Rufiji
I
River
thought,
that
bro.
drains into the Indian Ocean and creates the largest mangrove forest in East Africa.
A few little extra tidbits. Just on the border with Kenya, up north, you can find Lake Natron, one of the most dangerous lakes on Earth.
The incredibly high alkaline content of the water can burn the skin and the eyes of any creature that goes in it.
This is where Richard Brandt took all those haunting photos of calcified birds
Nah,
that
really?
survived
Nah,
the
bro.
extinction.
I still wanna go to Lake Natron.
I'm just putting a stick and just
I mean, we have a volcano
Just looking
that
at
spews
it.
out carbon, and it actually fertilizes the ground all around it.
Another one in the Olduvai Gorge, you find magnetic volcanic ash sand dunes that shift about 10 meters every year. If you throw the
Magnetic.
sand up in the air, it'll actually clump back together before it falls down rather than spreading out.
Tanzania is also
Nah,
a
bro.
hotspot for the high-end and opulent
physics
products.
and
Here's
stuff. I didn't
Tanzanian
take
geography.
physics. I'm
Shama,
glad I
explain.
didn't.
Hello, my name is Shama
I
and I'm
just
from
don't
Tanzania.
like
Tanzania is the leading
velocity
country for the production of
and
sisal, which is used to make ropes. It is
density.
the third
I don't
leading
know what
African
you
country
learn.
for the production of gold
I-
after
like,
South
I think I
Africa
know
and
it, but,
Ghana.
like, I
And speaking
just-
about minerals, of course,
not sure.
Tanzania is the country that
'Cause, like, in
produces
chemistry we
tanzanite.
learned about
Tanzanite is a
frequency
blue-violet mineral that is
of energy.
mined in Merino
So,
Hills in Moshi. Beautiful. It
does
is
that
very,
tie in with
very beautiful. It's
physics
actually
as well? I
breathtaking.
feel like
So
it
Tanzania
does.
also produces trees such as mpingo tree, a very famous tree that is used actually for carving because of its very hard nature, and which makes it one of the most expensive trees in the world. It's a good place to be. So karibu sana Tanzania. Thank you.
And finally, Tanzania is the largest producer of seaweed in Africa, mostly off the shores of Zanzibar.
Almost all the plantations are tended by the local
Nah, well,
Zanzibari
Zanzibar
women
began.
who haul in
Yeah,
the
I'm sorry.
harvest.
That joke's out now.
And about less than half the population has access to amenities like electricity and clean water.
But that's about to change, because we're building a very big dam at Stiegler's Gorge.
And it's going to be the biggest one in Africa.
For a minute,
For a minute.
until Ethiopia, with its grand Ethiopian Renaissance,
Ethiopia is going to...
always Ethiopia.
They're still on this?
Give us 1 year.
Now, the World
Nah.
Bank classifies Tanzania as a
Isn't this the
lower
one
middle
where
income
Egypt was like,
economy,
which is
nah,
better
bro,
than just a
can't be building
income
this.
economy.
And although they still rank low on
Feel
the
like it was
global
that one.
scale, the restructuring policies that transitioned from the Ujamaa command economy to a market economy in the 90s really helped boost their GDP per capita index.
Things like e-finance, mobile banking, services like M-Pesa have completely taken over. But no matter how
M-Pesa.
techy we can become in Tanzania, we will always cherish our crowning glory, nature.
And with that, here's Gary Harlow to explain the wildlife.
Hey there, mateys. Caleb here to do another Gary Harlow segment. There is so much nature to discuss. Nearly every conceivable animal you've heard.
It's just
that
like
comes
not a
from
secret
Africa
anymore. It's
is
just like,
there.
hey guys,
Except
be
for
killed.
like
Oh
lemurs,
no,
Scots,
Gary Hall.
Madagascar. We got Simbas,
It's like
Rafikis,
Doppio and
Zazus,
Diablo.
Timons and Pumbas. When he was a young warthog. Somewhere around
What?
30 to 40% of the country is dedicated to national parks, reserves, and conservation areas.
Playing too much with
17 in
that.
total. The largest protected wilderness preserve being the Selous Game Reserve. Many of the
The
parks
game
are special,
reserve.
like the Misurani Park, known for having snakes like the black mamba
No,
and the
man.
rock python. The Gombe Stream National Park is where Jane Goodall observed chips. However, the most famous world-renowned parks being the Serengeti and the Ngorongoro Crater. You've probably heard of the Serengeti. It hosts the largest mammal migration on Earth, labelled as one of the 7 natural wonders of the world. At 310
7 natural.
species, Tanzania holds about 20% of all the large mammal species of Africa, including the highest population of African lions in the world.
They
And
just
there's
like
over
sleeping in trees, apparently.
960 species of birds found here. Very
No,
few
what kind of
places on
bird
Earth
is that,
compare
bro?
to Tanzania when it comes to wildlife. Finally, we've got a fun fact for you. Farmers are known to throw condoms full of chili powder at elephants to ward them off from their crop fields, much like I do on the streets of Los Angeles to approaching females, because I'm married. And because
Sounds like Los
I
Angeles, to
do.
be honest.
Why? She's terrifying.
I
Here's
went
a condom
there.
full of chili powder. I'll see you
Strange
next
place,
time.
but it's
Have a good
okay.
one, mates.
Thank you, Gary.
I mean,
We
the
going
government
there.
bans us from
We
killing
going back
people,
there soon.
So we have to find what works.
Chili chili bombs and condoms.
Speaking of crops, Tanzania grows
Chili
so many
bombs,
good
though.
foods.
Tanzanians and
Alright.
many other East Africans, for that matter, usually adhere to the flexitarian diet. Many households don't eat meat daily and may reserve meat for maybe a weekly or special occasion meal.
We take tea very seriously. We call it chai, by the way. Anytime is tea time.
When I was there 2 times a day, 10, 4, you drop everything and just
Okay.
do tea.
Exactly. It's good for your health.
It
Chai.
is. Talk more about the food and cuisine of Tanzania. Here is Tanzanian geography Fadil to explain.
Hello, my name is Fadili from Tanzania. In Tanzania, we have
Bye,
so many
Tanzania.
good dishes. One staple that we use for almost every meal is ugali, which is made by maize or cassava flour. We grow about 20 different type of banana that are used for everything. Soup, dessert, or
Not
even
gonna lie
just
though,
eating them.
I did not know there was types of
Zanzibar
bananas.
is famous for
I thought there was
growing
just yellow
clove,
bananas and that's
nutmeg,
it.
and cinnamon. Otherwise,
And also
some
green
of
bananas,
top
I guess.
dishes, nyama
But
choma,
they're just
pilau,
different colors,
blender,
so I
chips
don't think that
mayai,
counts.
ndizi nyama, ndizi maharage, wali maharage, ugali samaki, ugali nyama, ugali maharage, Zanzibar pizza. And if you are lucky enough to visit
Pizza.
Arusha,
And
there
pizza.
is a delicious dish known as loshoro. I
I
hope
think
you
pizza
get
too.
chance to
I don't
eat
know, like,
Tanzanian food someday.
where's
Thank
the
you.
tomato sauce?
Fadil.
Also, we have the baobab tree, but they have this little fruit. It's kind of like sour, but good. So it's like sweet, but
Tangy,
sour.
sour.
Yeah, very good.
Well, just like the food,
Mm,
the
the
people
candy,
of Tanzania come in
words.
many different flavors and styles. Let's jump in and learn more about them. Shouts. All right, Chaka, how would you summarize a Tanzanian person?
Well, I first have to look at the national anthem. Mungu ibariki Afrika. Africans first. You have to realize.
So for,
No.
so for you guys, it's more like Africa first before
There's
Tanzania
like
even.
other countries
Tanzania
use that.
is just a first
I don't think
step.
that counts
I
as
love
a
Tanzania,
national
don't
anthem.
get me wrong.
Because there's like
We do
other
love
countries.
Tanzania,
I've heard
but
that,
also
like,
we
not
realize
for
there's a bigger picture.
Tanzania.
Side note, there's a tribe called Hay.
Which one was it though? I
Anywho,
think it was South
here's the
Africa.
demographics.
First of all, the country has about 60 million people and is the most ethno-linguistically diverse country in Africa. It is also the only one to have all 4 African language families, Bantu, Cushitic, Nilotic, and Khoisan. The country breaks down to somewhere around 120 ethno-linguistic groups and tribes, the vast majority of which belong to the Bantu group at about 95%. Of these Bantus, the largest tribes and groups are the Sukuma at about 15% of the country, followed by the Hehe/Bena tribe,
Hehe.
Gogo, each at about 4.5%. The Haya tribe comes in next at about
Hee-hee over
4%,
here.
and Nyamwenzi at 3%, and the remainder of the 95% are made up of other groups like the Chaga, Makonde, and so on. Within the remaining 5% of the non-Bantu population, you have mostly Nilotics and Cushitic peoples, such as the Maasai, the Iroquois, the Sandawe, and the Hadza. Finally, about 1% of the country is non-African, mostly Gujarati Indian, a few Europeans, Arabs, and Chinese.
We use the Tanzanian shilling as our currency, and we use the types G and D plug outlet, and we drive on
No.
the left. Thank you,
I'm,
Britain.
like,
The
as
country
an
has 2
American,
official languages, English and
I would like to know
Swahili.
the other
However,
different
Swahili
types of
is
plug
far more
outlets.
prevalent than English,
Just
and it
feel
was a
them,
key
just look
factor
at
that
them.
helped unite the entire nation
A little
from
weird, but you
much of
know,
East
just
Africa for over
I would like to know.
Today is the official language of 4 countries, recognized in 3, spoken by minorities in 6.
Swahili is a sort of fusion Bantu language started in Zanzibar that mixed various coastal and island languages. So technically there isn't like an original Swahili people group, although often Zanzibari people are referred to as Swahilis since they kind of started the whole deal. Would you say that's kind of accurate?
I would say that's accurate enough because everyone claims that Swahili started in the town, Mombasa, Malindi, Mtwara, Tanga. Because everyone is like your mom is cooking. In addition, it borrows about 20% of its vocabulary from Omani Arabic.
Basically, in the 60s and 70s, Julius Nyerere and his team were kind of like, okay, so we have over 120 tribes and ethnic groups and we need to communicate, but like in a pan-African format taught at elementary levels that appeals to everyone and not just to the English-educated elite.
Well, the majority of our country is Bantu, so a Bantu language would probably go well. Yeah, we should probably choose one that doesn't cater to any specific tribe, or at least a large tribe, is to avoid a sense of favoritism.
True, okay, Kiswahili. And it pretty much worked. Okay, so
Nah,
there's a
bro.
joke. All the Tanzanians have told me.
They
this, but
undermined
basically
it.
they say
Normally
Swahili,
African
born
countries
in
be
Zanzibar,
going to
grew
war.
up in
This one,
Tanzania, got sick in Kenya, died in
did
Uganda,
it.
and then was buried in Congo.
He said it. I didn't say it.
They're all thinking it.
But he said it. I got nothing but love for you, Kenya. Uganda, Congo, bring it in. Yeah,
no, it's okay. It sounds a bit confusing.
Things like Hakuna Matata. Bachata, Simba, Rafiki, Safari, Kwanzaa, Jenga.
Religion.
I love
Tanzania today
Jenga.
is about, give or take,
Haven't played in like
Christian,
years,
about
bro.
one-third Muslim, with small pockets of animus sprinkled within the runoff of those estimates.
Most of the Muslim community lives on the coast and on Zanzibar Islands. Interesting enough, Islam was not started by the Omanis, but by the Persians, and we call them Shirazis.
Now, obviously, as mentioned, there are so many tribes and ethnic groups of Tanzania. We definitely do not have time to go through all of them. Nonetheless,
Just
I
thank
asked
the
you guys,
Europeans
the
for
Tanzanian judges,
placing
to
all of them
summarize
into
some of the
one
biggest and
country.
most well-known tribes in Tanzania, and here are some of the things that you guys said.
The largest group, the Sukuma,
Ooh, it means push.
and the Haya are kind of big shots around Lake Victoria in the north, known for being hard-working agriculturalists.
Many have a long-standing tradition depending on medicine men and dawa, or zootherapy remedies made from animals and plants around them.
The southern Hehe and the Bene groups are often lumped into one. They, along with the Gogo tribes, are kind of seen as the warriors of the nation.
The Hehe under Chief Mkwawa resisted the German forces for 7 years in Lugalo, and the Gogo tribesmen under Kinjikitile
Yeah, bad Germans. We don't like the Kaiser.
So I guess you could say when the Germans came, they were like, Hehe, let's go get them.
Nah, man. I knew he was gonna make that
Also
joke.
known as the people of the moon,
But that heh.
citizens of the Sukuma.
I didn't know the
They
Gogo
took
though.
part in the trade. Unfortunately, the trade has spilled over into the Arab slave trade.
The Haya tribe was one of the first tribes in antiquity to have forged iron through their own blast furnaces that they invented, and they are kind of known for having lots of people that pursue the higher education fields. Often professors at universities are Haya.
And every Tanzanian will say the Chaga are like the businessmen of Tanzania. They originated around Kilimanjaro, and today when you meet a Chaga, chances are they are involved in some kind of business.
The Makonde, they're kind of known for being like the artists of Tanzania, renowned for their abstract ebony carvings, usually depicting the Shetani or East
This is
African
where my hair
creatures.
sucks sometimes.
And we have the main Cushitic group, the Raku, people who live mostly in the Manyara region. And Goruka is kind of like a ruin. The archaeologists, when they saw it, they couldn't understand what it was. And we kept telling them, like, that's the Iraku, they did it.
Then you also get the Nilotic tribes like the Datuga or the Rainmaker tribe, and of course the most famous one, the Maasai. You've probably seen them. They are one of the most widely documented African tribes in international publications. Speaking of which, I have a shuka cloth. I got this when I was in my early 20s because I was trying to be all cultured and stuff.
I mean, look at
Oh
look at
yeah,
this, look at
yeah.
this, look at
Yeah,
this.
like
Finally,
if you guys didn't
got
know,
the
he had like a different channel.
Zimbabwe and the speculated
I think it's still there, but like
Yes,
there's
they
like
split the
a lot of
Khoisan
videos.
continents like
His vlogs were like
And
in
some
that
of them lived semi-nomadic
before he
lives in the
moved
bush,
into
between the hunter-gatherer
this
traditions and lifestyle.
channel.
And just a little shout out to the Meru
But
tribe.
the other
one
channel
that I
used to
staying
be-
with when
that
I
was his first
They're
channel.
located at the base of Mount Meru. They are super nice people, and they're huge on fruit
I remember
cultivation.
watching one
Best
of him,
mangoes and
like
bananas I ever had in my life.
he went to like Bolivia, and there's like
So
these
anyhow, those
women
are some of the
boxing
largest, most
and
well-known groups in
wrestling, I
Tanzania. If
think,
there's any more that we didn't mention, please
and
put
like
them in
their
the comments. Otherwise,
traditional
it's a lot to mix.
dresses.
But one thing they do like to mix
It's
is
weird.
at a crowd
It might not
at
be
a
like that,
sporting
I just
event.
don't
So
remember.
with that, here's Art with the sports part.
All right.
Editing
Tanzania
was good.
sports. So, like most East
Execution
African
for
countries,
before
Tanzania
editing was
participation in long-distance running events. Some long-distance runners, like these people, are national icons. To this day, they have 2 Olympic silver medalists that won the men's 5,000
Guys, go watch my
run and
Olympic
3,000
game,
meter
the winter
steeplechase
one.
events in the 1980
No one's gonna
Moscow
watch that. It's the
Olympics.
Winter
They should have gotten
Olympics.
gold. I give them a Tanzania. And of course, no shocker, soccer or football is super popular with
Football.
everyone. All you need to know is the career.
Why do I hate when they say football? It's like just say football.
Largest teams. Will it be the Yanga or the Simba?
Football.
Hey, where's my Simba? Not Savannah! Also, fun fact, Oklahoma City Thunder's Hashim Thabit was the first Tanzanian person drafted in the NBA.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
for the
in
third
February,
pick in the
Tanzania
NBA
holds the
draft.
Kilimanjaro Marathon.
The
It's a
Oklahoma
triathlon
City
that involves
Thunder
bike routes
select.
around the entire mountain.
What?
The trek
I already
around the
forgot his
mountain,
name.
and finally, a proper marathon. That's a ton of cardio. And finally, we can't end
Especially
this
that
segment
elevation.
without mentioning the
Yep.
Maasai Olympics. It's held every 2 years. They compete in 6 events that traditional Maasai warriors were known to partake in. Rungu sticks being the traditional wooden club weapon used by herdsmen, mostly to kill snakes and other creatures that threaten their cattle, so they murder things that murder. They made it into a game. That's it for me,
That's
everybody.
amazing to hear. Alright. No, we just don't need that.
Thank you, Art. Yeah,
Yelling
considering what natural
don't
wonders the country
sound good.
offers, it's no shocker
I
that
don't like
Tanzanians
hearing
definitely
yelling.
get their fair share of outdoor activities.
Especially when I'm like
Which also play into our
tired.
different traditions and customs.
And with that, here's Random Hannah to
Remember, you
Who's
can
doing
get
the
a
edit as well?
t-shirt at geographynow.com. So first off,
I'm gonna like hook them up so they can edit my videos.
Tanzania is home to quite a few tribal chiefdoms and small kingdoms. For example, this guy has been king of the
Image not found.
tribe since 1978. Tribal or clan exogamy, or marrying outside your tribe or clan, has become much more common in the past half-century. One common custom that many of them share, however, is the dowry, or bridegroom price. Usually this involves a negotiation of things like money or livestock. And you guys know that I love cow dowries. It is somehow a passion of mine.
What dowry did you get for your wedding, Hannah?
I got a husband, that's it.
Oh.
It's a pretty good one.
Oh,
Much of the
for real.
folklore, poetry, and
Not like
proverbs were passed down through
the
oral
guy
tradition. However, after
just saying
transliterating
your
into
man.
script, written literature saw a steady rise. This guy, Shaban Robert,
really
is
know.
considered father of Swahili literature and was
I had something, but the
Kilimanjaro,
execution was
Dying
just
in the
terrible.
Sun is considered to be one of the most compelling works of modernism in African writing. In addition, Zanzibar-born novelist
Literature.
Abdul Razak Gurnar won the 2021 Nobel Prize in Literature. Tinga Tinga, which is is named after the founder Edward Said Tinga Tinga. It's the national style of artwork, originating from Oyster Bay, known for its bold, colorful,
It's easy,
surrealistic work
but
and
it's
often flamboyant
kinda
depictions of
boring.
humans and animals. And speaking of art, Zanzibar has a whole other thing going on. They are famous for their elaborately carved doors and Arab-style chests with secret hidden compartments.
It was featured on season 29 of The Amazing Race, which I am totally applying for. Hope you guys, the producers, see my audition tape.
Going
Amazing
off of that,
Race?
Tanzania has quite
Never
a
heard of it.
film industry, sometimes referred to as
Maybe we
Swahili
can see
wood
Barb's.
or bongo wood. And if you want to learn more about the culture and traditions and art in Tanzania, you can follow my YouTube channel, Random Hannah. I almost fell off this thing. Many of their films are featured at the Festival of Dhow Countries that features African cinema and art. Other major festivals that occur include, but are not limited to, Children's Day, Unification Day,
German
Wanyambo Festival
okay,
in
no, I'm
January,
sorry.
the Karibu Travel and
APR
Tourism
just
Fair,
needs
the
to
Mwaka
go away.
Kobo Festival in Zanzibar. They burn the straw cabin to start things off. And the Swahili Culture Festival. Speaking of which, much of the
I
Swahili
hate how I'm
culture is
lazy.
perpetuated
Yeah,
by its
I
heavy use in modern
still
music.
have like
Which brings us to
2 months.
Keith's music segment. I'm gonna leave now because I can't handle this. Glitter bomb.
Woo! What's up, everybody? It's me, Keith. So, Tanzania is
It's
a
kinda
powerhouse
sweaty,
when
though.
it comes to music in Africa, especially the Swahili world. Every Swahili singer knows the famous song Malaika, which was written in Tanzania. So, first off, with over 120 ethnic groups, there's a lot of traditional styles and dances and instruments and so on. For example, the Zaramo tribe has their own version of the hand piano, or ilimba. The Gogo people are known for playing the zeze. The Mara people are also known for
'cause,
playing
like,
the litingu,
oh,
and
man.
some of the
Just
Sukuma
hear
people are
bars in
known
the
for
corner.
playing the ligombos, or
And the
trop
joke.
zither. Also, you can find a lot of these instruments throughout East Africa in their own shape, form, different things, yeah. In Tanzania, songs can get very political. If the president is doing a good job, artists will make praise songs, and if the president is actually doing a really shitty job, he'll get the protest songs, and
Dang,
everybody
bro.
will want to burn everything down. The late President Magufuli had tons of songs written in his honor after he died. Otherwise, from the 1960s to the 80s, Tanzania was noted for its distinct African rumba music style that brought out tons of classic artists like these.
Ooh,
Check out this
yes.
list, it's huge.
Wow.
After the 80s, they switched up their political and economic model to a free market, which allowed a ton of new genres to pop up. Fun fact, Zanzibar was actually mentioned in a Tenacious D song. Yeah, yeah, you never...
There's one line in the song.
Yeah.
That's how you remember it.
That's how I know Zanzibar. I'm like, oh, Zanzibar. In Zanzibar, you'll probably find more Tarab music, which is like a fusion of Arab, Indian, and Latin European influences all
Latin,
combining
European,
together to make this
Arab.
really awesome sounding music. But the one style
Weird
of
combination,
music
but I
native
hope it
to
works.
Tanzania that everyone loves is bongo flava. Created in the 1990s, as described by the Bongo Flava website, the sound has its roots in rap, R&B, and hip-hop that came from America, but has been pulled apart and put back together with African hands. Most of Bongo Flava is performed in Swahili with a mixture of either English or native
like a
languages. Some of the most
Spotify,
notable Bongo Flava artists are these guys.
playlist cover.
And of course, all of you guys wanted us to mention Diamond Platinums. This dude is really blown up in the Bongo Flava scene. super famous, not just in East Africa, but in the entire world. That's it for me,
Next
guys.
upcoming
I'm Keith. Go.
young
Bananas.
boy.
Go. Bananas. I'm bananas.
Thank you, Keith. And you totally forgot about Freddie Mercury, born in Zanzibar. Oh,
Have you guys forgotten
Really?
about Kwasa?
what is Kwasa Kwasa?
He was born in
It's
Zanzibar.
it's like a Roomba, all in the head.
I have seen that when I was in That's Kwasa Kwasa?
That's Kwasa.
So there you go. Quite the profile for East Africa's quiet powerhouse nation.
But we're not quiet. We talk to the rest of the world. We have friends.
You have stuff to say.
A lot.
So modern history has given Tanzania quite the advantage of building diplomatic relations abroad because of all the maritime trade that they were based off of.
We have a long-term Indian Ocean trade, so this is not recent.
So let's look at the motion graphic to see how it plays out.
First of all, outside of Africa, both India and China are kind of competing for Tanzania's affection. For one, not only is India their largest export partner, but Tanzania has had historical ties to India for centuries.
If you know,
and
you
is
know.
a large community of Indians, mostly Gujaratis. Indian
Gujarati?
influence has not only crept its way into Tanzanian
Gujarati?
culture in things like food, but also a large portion of the businesses
Rest
in
in peace,
Tanzania
him.
are owned by Indians. And many
Read to
notable
spoil that, I'm
Tanzanians
sorry.
of Indian descent have become celebrities, athletes, government officials, and so on. India sees this and loves it because it kind of solidifies a bond between them. Whereas China comes in and says, hey, not only am I your biggest import partner, but also I have roots here too. Chinese people have been coming in mostly since the 1930s,
For
and
railroads,
we've been one of the biggest
yeah.
investors in your infrastructure development, in things like railroads and stadiums. There was
Stadiums.
a little controversy though in recent years when China deliberately had to crack down and arrest quite a few of their own people in Tanzania that were convicted in taking part of the illegal ivory trade. But overall, good relationship.
Nah,
with China.
bro.
Otherwise, their
Stadiums,
former colonial
though.
power, the British, generally
Gonna
now have
about the
amicable
host of
ties.
AFCON.
UK is the largest foreign direct investor and the top country for tourist visitors. They are also obviously the top purchaser of Tanzanian tea. And today, many Tanzanians either have family in the UK or they study abroad in the UK. If we're talking about their closest friends, though, we have to bring it back to the African continent. For one, they are kind of like the link between the EAC and the Southern African Development Community, or SADC. At one point, Tanzania really pushed for the East African Federation to become a unified nation state, but there was some skepticism amongst some of the members, Uganda, and after that incident fizzled out, they
Uganda.
kind of turned their heads south. And that's when you see
I was
Tanzania
probably
really get involved. Not only
expecting
were they a founding member
South
of SADC, but
Sudan,
virtually every
but
independence movement in the Southern African
they did
states
end the
was
Civil
somehow
War
affected or assisted by Tanzania.
when it was
Hell,
like
Zambia even shares the same national anthem
2020.
as Tanzania.
I think it was like
though,
before
the
COVID
EAC
or after
neighbors,
COVID.
or the Swahili siblings, will always have a somewhat closer spot to their hearts. Despite the brief 8-month-long war with Uganda, they've been tight with everyone in the Great Lakes region. In addition, many of them share tribal or ethnic groups across the borders. They all share a trade bloc, a duty-free common market, common customs procedures for inter travel, and so on. If we're really gonna narrow this down, though, some might say Kenya is kind of like the flashy brother of Tanzania. It has a more prosperous economy and developed industry, yet Tanzania doesn't feel threatened or jealous. They're happy to see Kenya getting some spotlight, and if anything happens, they
Shout
will
out
be
to the
there for them.
Kenya guy
Also,
for the
Kenya will now
impact.
have Kilimanjaro, so it's kind of like they already won anyway.
One Yayama.
In
I think that's how you
conclusion,
say it, but
Tanzania knows its worth and value to
Impact
the
won because of you.
very
He was
confident
amazing
in
tonight.
who we are. We don't have to brag. Kenya can be the movie
Or
star. Let
CF
them be,
Montreal.
But we know who we are. We have Kilimanjaro.
Well,
Thank
alright.
you, Chaka, for being in this episode. Stay tuned. Thailand is coming up next. That's going to be a big one.
Sawadee Hab.
Oh, it's gonna be easier for him to find one, a person from Thailand. So, anyways, guys, that's about it. So now I will be doing my homework as I still haven't done it. So, anyways, guys, that's gonna be it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. We learned about beautiful Tanzania. So, anyways, guys, that's gonna be it for this video. Please like and subscribe. I'll see you guys next time.